want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll discuss our topics for today?
Yeah. So, my name is Adrian Villaseñor. I am the owner of MadTown Gaming. I've been playing Dragon Ball only for about a year now. Actually, 9 months now. Fell in love with the game and the community. So I've dedicated pretty much my store to selling primarily Dragon Ball and trying to specialize in it.
Very nice, very nice.
Awesome.
Alrighty, well, let's dive right into our topics for today. Tim, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I know we talked a little bit before about some of the stuff you wanted to go over. Let's start with USPS, so the Postal Service, and kind of like your input and what you're seeing from a shop owner perspective versus, you know, the majority of the community who doesn't get that perspective on things.
Okay, so first and foremost, like, I do get that how you put it. It's a majority of the people don't see what's going on in the back room, or however you want to put it, right? The main issue is that as a vendor, I'm the one that gets all the negative feedback and everything like that for what's going on with the USPS, with mail delays, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so things that aren't necessarily, you know, your fault, things that are kind of out of your control due to what's going on, you know, in the world right now.
Yes. So it's two-handed, basically. So in one hand, we have COVID-19, as everybody knows, that is causing delays in a lot of things. From there, we also have, on the other hand, the Postmaster General himself. I know he's actually backtracked on what he said within this last week, I believe. So he is going to start allowing overtime and everything like that. But for about 2 or 3 months, he didn't allow overtime. He also started getting rid of some mail filing machines.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorting machines, sorry. So then that was also causing a lot of backtrack, and just there was a lot of postponements that were going on, and that's what a lot of people just don't understand. Like I said, as a vendor, I get the order in. Let's say I get the order in at 2 a.m. I wake up, I start work at 9. From 9 to whatever time I'm done with all my orders, that same day I drop them off. Let's say it's the 1st. I drop them off on the 1st. They don't get sorted until the next day. You know, theoretically speaking, that's how it's supposed to be. And then best case scenario, on the 2nd, they actually get shipped out. Most of the time, it's not even until the 3rd that they actually get shipped out. From there, like, you're already expecting, in your mind, you're like, okay, I placed it on the 1st, so it should be here between the 6th and the 9th. But that's not the case, especially how it is now with COVID and with the Postmaster General. Like, I've been telling a lot of my customers, like, give it 12 to 14 business days. Like, not even 12 to 14 days, just 12 to 14 business days, which is basically a month, which really, really sucks.
Yeah, especially when they're talking about, like, you know, typical times are like 4 to 5 days on, you know, the parcel shipping.
I'm sorry, you cut out.
Oh, I was just saying how sometimes with like a normal letter, it's usually like 4 to 5 days, but now it's like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. And like, so even with tracking, like, tracking is about 4 to 5 days or something. It's supposed to be 4 to 5 days, but that's if you pay for the good tracking, which most vendors don't. Most vendors on TCG, they still do the standard 6 to 8 days.
Yeah.
That's basically all they do is buy the tracking number, which is like anywhere between $2 to like $4.50. So you're still in that 6 to 8 day window.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, it's supposed to get there sooner because you paid for priority, so you do get cutsies, but even then it doesn't like affect anything.
Yeah, it's just really
Or
tough.
it has a potential to not affect anything. Because, for instance, I bought a Salzino. It just came in today. I bought it 3 weeks ago, and it just came in today.
Yeah, it's crazy. I even had a package that I sent off with tracking, priority tracking, and the...
You're cutting out again.
Sorry about that. I'll get a little closer. I had a package that I had sent, with priority tracking. And it like you said, it took 3 weeks to get there with like no shipping tracking updates. And so
I'm getting like every third word.
Okay, sorry, we'll try and get closer. I had a package that was shipped out, and it was just like 3 weeks later it arrived.
Yeah. That's a pretty common occurrence right now. And it sucks because one of the reasons why I actually wanted to do this and jump on the podcast and everything was to help spread awareness and all that. Because I jumped onto TCG Player and I looked at core TCG. I looked at like a bunch of different vendors, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Black Market, Yu-Gi-Oh! Black Market. A lot of vendors that have 100 times my sales, 500 times my sales. And the common negative comment is it took too long. But it's literally and metaphorically out of our hands the moment we put it inside of a blue box, drop it off at FedEx, USPS, UPS, whatever the case may be. It's literally and figuratively, metaphorically out of our hands. Like, we can't do anything about that. And that's what sucks. Like, I get people still have locals that they need to play at, tournaments that they need to participate in. Core TCG, for instance, was it 2 months ago? You had to have the physical cards in order to play in their tournament. But how are you going to play in the tournament if your cards show up a week late?
Exactly. It's just because of all this stuff.
Singles.
Yeah, because of all this stuff, it's just unfortunate for shop owners because, they're trying to fulfill deadlines and people are getting upset, but you have no control over this.
Well, yeah, and it sucks. I'm a shop owner, but I've been a TCG player for a very long time. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic. Like, I played all of it. I'm 32, and I've been playing TCG since I was 10. I know how it is. Like, when I want my cards in a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
But it wasn't until I started seeing everything on the back end, especially during this pandemic, that I realized, oh man, like, there's a lot that people aren't getting. And that's why I've made those 2 PSAs, because there were people constantly complaining on Xeno Black Market, on the DBS community page, just everywhere about their things coming in late. And I'm getting 20 messages a day complaining about their packages arriving late.
Yeah. Yeah. Just unfortunate. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic here.
For sure.
It kind of ties in with that a little bit, primarily regarding TCG Player. Like you said, the lack of overtime with postal workers and things like that. Orders from TCG Player are getting delayed quite a bit, as far as most people are experiencing. I know we talked a little bit about this the other day, kind of like our own experiences the last few weeks or so. And my experience has been drastically different than both of yours. I had a package from Core and somewhere on the other side of the country. Both orders went out the same day, and they both arrived like 3 days later. And it's just weird how you can hit both ends of that spectrum and have such disparity.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't get. They look at their own personal success or failures, or whatever the case may be. They look at their own personal bubble. It's like, oh well, if it's not happening to me, then how is it happening to everybody else, kind of thing. And that could be blown up to pretty much any aspect of life, of course. But
yeah, people only really pay attention to things that are directly impacting them. They don't normally look at things from like a bigger picture standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. So from a business perspective, I've seen it both sides. I've seen my products come in on time, and this is as a vendor, ordering my products for my shop come in on time, and then they show up 2 weeks later. Like I've seen it come from UPS and FedEx the same way. And then as a player, I'm still waiting on my package on my which one was it? On one of my leader cards, my signed leader, or not signed, my stamped leader card, Vegito, from Core TCG. I think it's been about a month now, and it still hasn't arrived.
Yeah, that's crazy, especially since because they're in Cali and we're also in Cali. You know, it's like usually that'd be like a day or two.
Oh yeah, I actually drove down there to pick up some product from them, and I asked them if I could pick it up right then and there, and they told me no, that they already sent it out. I was like, okay, no problem, whatever. I made another order from them, I think last week, and it came in 3 days later, but my Vegito leader still hasn't came in yet.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's just weird how there's, like I said, such disparity between, one experience versus the next. And, like a lot of people don't really see or understand on the back end, like you were mentioning, once an order is marked from the shop owner as shipped and they ship it out, there's nothing they can do about it after that point until it arrives, or a long enough period of time has passed that some other course of action may or may not be taken.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. There's some people that have been extremely respectful. I'm not going to call out communities or anything like that. I do sell Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Dragon Ball online. There's certain communities that you could tell that are, adults, and then others that aren't adults.
Yeah, some people are just more understanding than others.
Yeah, and that reflects upon the community. Like, I think it was my first PSA that I posted up on the DBS community page. I said, it's like you could tell the difference between what kind of person you're speaking to and what community they're from, because they're reacting completely different on the subject itself.
Yeah.
Yelling at me as a vendor, that's not going to help me want to help you, and that's also not going to help you get your product faster. Like I said earlier, it's literally and figuratively out of my hands. I sent it. I did my portion of the job. It's up to you, USPS, to deliver it. And there's no way, like, this ties to the whole TCG Player being heavily delayed and everything. Like, there's nothing to deter people from giving me a bad rating because of their experience on the ETA. Thankfully, like I said, a lot of people have been positive about it, but if they didn't want to, my rating would just tank. And there's nothing, it's not my fault. It's actually not my fault. But that's why I want people to be more open-minded. Like, just because it didn't happen to you doesn't mean it's not happening to somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. So, before we kind of move on to the next topic, I just want to reiterate that again, that we all need to be a little more understanding, especially during the times we're in right now. Things shipping are generally going to take longer. We all just need to understand that, if you want to inquire with the shop that you made purchases from, respectfully ask or inquire about the order, but also understand that once it's shipped, it's really out of their hands, and all they can do is update you the same way that you would get updates from USPS.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, so let's move on.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Whatever you see on the USPS tracking is the same exact information that I'm going to be giving you on USPS tracking.
Yep, exactly. Alrighty, on to our next topic here, which is going to be the postponement of product due to things like COVID and the set 10 as well as set 11 postponements.
So this one right here, this topic in general, it's something that I don't think the community really has too much of a grasp on. So it hurts. As a vendor, it hurts me in multiple ways. One, obviously, it hurts me financially because I am getting, take Series 11, for instance. That's supposed to be coming out in, 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be coming out in about 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's not coming out for a month.
Right.
A month and a half or something like that now. So from what I was reading online on the DBS page, it was due to, or there was a lot of community feedback saying, well, you guys are releasing product too soon, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's not that they were releasing product too soon. It's that Series 10 got pushed back because Series 10 was actually supposed to be coming out in mid-June. So then from mid-June, it got pushed back to mid-July. And then from mid-July, 2 weeks later, we had, anniversary, right? And then 3 weeks after that, we were supposed to have Series 11.
Yeah.
At some point in time... Oh, go for it, sorry.
I was going to say, it kind of seemed like they pushed back certain products, but they didn't really look at the whole timeline for the rest of the year and spread things out appropriately.
So, that was going to be my next thing. At some point in time, we're going to have to get all three in a row like that. Otherwise, their entire roadmap is going to be screwed for the remainder of the year. If the community doesn't want this to happen, they need it to happen at least once. And take Series 11, for instance. I posted up that I was taking pre-orders for it. I have about 2 cases pre-ordered already. And now that it's not coming out until the end of, or not the end, but until the beginning of the second week of October, those people are contemplating, or some of those people were actually contemplating whether or not they should be asking for a refund right now to, pay for it later. It's like, oh, well, in that case, I want my money back, and then I'll just come back in 2 or 3 weeks and just pre-order it again. It hurts on multiple levels because it's not financially, it's taking money away, obviously, from the refunds, but then it also looks bad on the shop that our orders are getting postponed because most players don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes. They don't check forums, they don't go on Reddit, they don't do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that we as players don't get to see as far as like with distributors and those kind of channels that we don't get access to really.
Yeah. And one of the things, and this is actually just a funny anecdote for me anyways, about 2 months ago when Series 10 came out, I messaged Bandai and asked them about Series 11, when the pre-release was going to happen, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And they told me that Series 11 was currently under code name Bloodline Vermilion, which was just a working title. Like, it was just a placeholder. I was like, okay, cool. And then it turns out that it was actually the real name to it. It's like, damn, I could have leaked that information. But anyways, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that the normal players don't get to see because they don't have direct communication to Bandai. Like, I do, thankfully. And they give me this type of information. At some point in time, we're going to get Series 12, an anniversary box, and like Draft Box 7 all within a month of each other because it's going to screw up their roadmap. One way or another, it's going to screw everything up. So it's easier. In their mind, it was just easier for them to push back Series 10 and then have Series 11 and Anniversary follow it up so it doesn't screw up next year.
Yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes looking at the big picture of like, obviously they have to go to, say, China to get their cards manufactured, and then China has to ship it overseas to some state to package it or whatever, and then they have to send it to the distributor. And so this whole process has to take place like months and months and months in advance, and they have to schedule it, we need your, like the manufacturer or whatever might say, we need your schedule for the next 3 years. And so they have to follow that, and they don't want stuff sitting in warehouses, so they have to send out the product, and sometimes it just clumps up because of quote-unquote natural disasters or pandemics or whatever you want to, say is happening at the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that, like, what you said right there about the whole distributor and everything, that's the hammer on the head of the nail kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
When you want to pre-order, like for Series 11, for instance, in order to pre-order that, I had to pre-order it 3.5 months ago because Bandai needs to know how many boxes, cases, pallets to print. They get the order. I think the pre-order just ended about a month ago. So in this month, or in those 30 days between the end of the pre-order and release, they send it to their manufacturer. Manufacturer prints all of it, everything that's on the pre-order sheet, and then they send it to the distributors throughout the nation, well, throughout the world, of course, in all the different languages. And that's the thing, is different languages. You have Italian, Spanish, English, German. You have all the languages that they need. And postponing it, yeah, I get that it's frustrating on the community side, and as a player, I get it. But we need it to happen. At some point, it has to happen for them to get back on track and for us to get our normal release dates.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it just stems back to what we were saying about the post office and everything, about how as the consumer, one thing we can do to help out is just be kind to the shop owners or whoever we're dealing with, as well as be patient, because, we're sitting at home and so we're kind of bored. A lot of people are due to COVID, and I know it gets frustrating when you don't have things to do, but just be patient. Your product will come. Give it time. Everyone's in this sort of waiting phase.
Yeah, so kind of feeding off of that, with postponement of product and all of that, like you said, it does have an impact on, brick and mortar local game stores. Do you want to talk just a little bit more about some of those, lasting effects?
Yeah, of course. So with the lasting effects of the product getting delayed, and this goes back to, of course, and this goes back to the game, the players not knowing what's going behind the scenes for the games, right? I have a budget. I have to give myself a monthly budget on product to purchase. How much of it am I purchasing a month? And this isn't just for Dragon Ball. This is for Dragon Ball, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic. A lot of brick and mortar shops, they don't just deal in one card. They deal with multiple cards. So with this getting pushed back, I was supposed to be getting this product in September, so in about 2 weeks. The revenue from that is going to build over, accumulate, sell everything into October when the Yu-Gi-Oh set comes out. Basically, what ends up happening from January to December is a cascading effect. I get 5 cases of Yu-Gi-Oh in January. Those 5 cases pay for 10 cases of Dragon Ball in February. Those 10 cases pay for 5 cases of Yu-Gi-Oh, so forth and so forth, right? Dragon Ball does sell more than Yu-Gi-Oh does at my shop. So then those are rough numbers, but that's basically how it is. I always order double the amount for Dragon Ball than I do for Yu-Gi-Oh. I have nothing coming out in September. There's no Yu-Gi-Oh, no Dragon Ball, no Magic. That means for the entire month of September, I have no revenue. Of course, this is just, I have no sealed revenue anyway. Let me rephrase that.
No new product.
Yeah, no new product. I still have singles, things like that. But in terms of sealed product, I don't have anything to fill that void for my consumers until October. Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's going to be a double month for me because, like I said, I have to space things out. September was supposed to be Dragon Ball. Carries over to October, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! Which carries over to November, which is Dragon Ball again for Draft Box 5. Or Draft Box 6, excuse me.
Yeah.
And then from November, there's over to December for Yu-Gi-Oh! I can't remember the name of the set. So that cascading effect that was supposed to happen is non-existent now. Now I have no sealed revenue for the entire month of September because of this pushback. yes, there's other ways that to make money, all that other good stuff. I've heard it all already from a lot of different people in the community, but that's what they don't get from the behind the scenes. That's why it's mandatory for us to get 3 sets in a row, like we just like what was supposed to happen, so the roadmap could get back in place. Not just for me, for all brick and mortars, and for Bandai themselves, because they need to tell their manufacturers when to do everything, how many of it to make, and all that good stuff. So the brick and mortars and all the card shops will get their product in on time.
Yeah, so I think another important point to make is something that Brian from Tulare Community College, it's a Magic the Gathering YouTube channel, says, in just about every video he's done forever, is to buy product from, the places that home you as a TCG player. Random target packs here and there are cool, but make sure you're supporting your local game store, especially in these kind of times where they are struggling. So that way, when things do come back to some sort of normalcy, we still have that home to go to and play.
Yeah, it just reinforces the the final point that we have here, which is online market versus in-store market, and like the competition between those, where say some store that is located East Coast, West Coast, whatever, pick your poison, but has a huge stock and they can sell cards at a little bit lower than your LGS, you should still support your LGS, because one, you're able to go there and get it that day. Two, you play there, COVID conditions aside, you play there on a regular basis for local shop tournaments and stuff like that. And three, they're a business that help your local economy grow.
Yeah, I'm personally a big advocate for, trying to buy locally when you're able to. If your local game store doesn't have what you're looking for, look, on TCG Player or something like that through another local game store, because you're still going to end up supporting that whole ecosystem of, independently or family owned local businesses somewhere, rather than big box corporations who really don't need your $20 for a 3-pack blister of booster packs.
Right.
And I do have to give credit to quite a few people that have bought off of me. They surprisingly were locals. From my understanding, was that they actually TCG playered Madeira, and whatever came up as Madeira, they actually bought from it. So I ended up messaging them on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey, thank you so much. If you want, we could set up a curbside." And they're like, "Perfect," because I haven't been able to open my shop. So they've left me voicemails, but I haven't been able to answer. So, just try to do that. Try to message your local game store, see if they have a TCG Player store, and shop from them there. Try to help them out in any which way you can. That's why I know this is kind of a segue or self-sponsorship, whatever you want to call it. But then that's why I've been streaming so much. Try to get MadTown Gaming out there on the internet, and doing a lot more self-promotion. Every sub gets you discounts, all that stuff, because my local game store is me now. My local game store 5 years ago was Bullpen, and I would do anything for Mike. Mike would ask me to go get him food, I'd get him food, because I want to support my local game store. And a lot of people just need to keep that in mind. Yeah, you may not be able to come to my shop right now, but hopefully eventually you'll be able to, and you'll like it. You'll enjoy yourself. We sell food.
Yeah, people just kind of need to remember that, while a lot of local game stores may not, be open for play right now, if we don't, continue to support them, they might not be there to come back to later.
Yeah, and that's a massive header right there. Is if we can't survive right now, and I'm not talking about just me, I'm talking about every brick and mortar that just opened up, every TCG store that just opened up within the last year, all of them are hurting. Even the ones that have been sustaining for quite some time are hurting right now. Try to support them any which way you can. Go out there and try to do whatever you possibly can for them. And a good segue to this is actually going towards the competitiveness between online and in store in terms of the championship packs as well. I honestly believe one of the main reasons why the prices are so hyped right now is because, like, my store, for instance, I was supposed to have a championship tournament. I was supposed to be getting about 64, I think, 64 booster packs, or the championship 2020s. I didn't get them because I couldn't open up my doors. Like, there's a lot of things like this that people just don't. It's not that they don't understand; it's that they just don't know.
Yeah, or
And that's one of the main
sometimes
reasons.
we just
Oh,
kind
go
of
for it, sorry.
sometimes we just kind of don't think about it.
Well, yeah, no, exactly, and that's why I wanted to jump on here, and that's why I've done the PSAs a couple of times now to give people more of what's happening in the background, because it didn't seem like there were any vendors willing to express themselves. I waited I waited about 2 weeks before I posted up my first PSA to see if there were any other vendors willing to. And after I posted my first one, there was quite a few consistent comments from different vendors, like, well, thank you for speaking out. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. It's like, well, yeah, like, somebody has to speak up and let the community know what we're going through as well, what's happening behind the scenes, and what we're trying to do to try to remedy the situation.
Absolutely. And that goes for more than just, like other local game stores and, the community of LGSs as a whole. That goes for everything, even like content creation, things like that. If nobody does it, then there's nothing there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be done.
Yeah. The reason I wanted to make an LGS, well, one, I love Madera. I'm born and raised here. This is my city, and I want my city to flourish. I want to help the community that's helped me so much. And this is actually something that I told Marcus too about TOP. Well, the first TOP. After I saw Shenron's Lair and how much you guys were giving back to the community, I wanted to be a part of that. I saw how much Shenron's Lair loved the community, what DeLon Mac was doing for the community. I wanted to participate in that. I wanted to be there. I wanted to try to help as much as I can. And that's why I'm trying to do whatever I can in order to, progress that and give out as much information as I possibly can about, or as much information as I possibly can without getting in trouble, of course.
Right. Yeah, it's always good to support local guys. Just remember that. Alrighty, Adrian, any final thoughts for our listeners here that you wanted to just touch on?
Just keep your heads up. Hopefully everything, becomes better. And just don't forget to support your local game stores first and foremost. They need it just as much. They need it more than any of the big box stores. Shoot them a message on Facebook. I'm more than sure every single one of those stores has a Facebook page or an Instagram. Message them. Hey, do you have any packs? I'm more than sure they'll be willing to do a curbside pickup for you guys, even give you a little bit of a discount, because that's actually what I'm doing right now too. Mm-hmm. I'm giving people an extra 10% off of anything for the curbside pickups, because I want to give back to the community and they're willing to buy stuff from me. So just support your local game stores, please.
Yep. Alrighty, guys, this is the Sideboard Podcast. We're going to check out for now. Just make sure to go check out your local game store, or if not, support MadTown Gaming.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely go and check out MadTown. I know they've got a lot of cool stuff there.
Alrighty, thanks for the call, Adrian. We're gonna check out and take it from here.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it, and I can't wait to listen to the rest of it.
Alrighty, you have a good one.
Have a good one, Adrian.
All right, take care. Bye.
Okay, guys, we just wanted to finish this episode by talking about something that's pretty hot at the moment. It is the Bibidi Super Combo and whether it should be banned or not. We have two sides of the argument, with me on the pro ban and Tim on the anti-ban. Let's talk about it for just a minute. Tim, take it from there.
So, I'm going to get a lot of heat for being against the ban, but I want to preface anything I have to say with the fact that I understand that the card is absolutely insane, borderline broken, but I don't think it's ban worthy.
Okay, so we'll preface that, and then let's go into from the beginning. I think the card should be banned, mainly because my primary argument is that when you combo with that card on average, like what would you say? Because you're a Vegex player, right? You know, you've been playing it for a long time.
Outside of AOD, yeah.
Outside of, you know, your first love, your side chick is Vegex.
Yeah.
So
like with the standard type of Vegex build, or like what I play?
Well, what you play, I feel like reinforces our point even more because it's just double strike .deck.
Yeah, like Bibidi's with Champa or Crack in space time and Majin Buu's extinction attack. That's not okay.
It's like
when you're doing
it's like 70k right there
every turn.
It's like 75k.
Well, because Majin Buu attack is 15k on its own,
right? So
plus it immediately goes to drop, which adds another 1,000 for Bibidi.
And mill 4 potentially.
And mill up to 4.
So plus another 5.
So it's Majin Buu attack on its own is a 20k combo.
Yeah. It's 20k. Well, once you add the Bibidi, yeah.
Yeah.
So 20k for one, plus the, let's just say the crack in space time.
Is another 15. Now you're at 35.
And that goes to the drop immediately. So it's
so
21.
36.
Yeah. And then
plus whatever Bibidi's
on average, I would say,
it's
on average,
like
I would say
15 cards at minimum when you actually want to start
punching people,
trying to go for game.
So your first attack's going to be like a 55k.
Yeah, normally my first attack I was trying to connect with, you know, like the 8 to 6 or 7 to 5,
right,
was normally like, it was like a reboot Gohan attack when they flip, but without crit. It was normally like 50, 60k.
And you're at 8 life.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, so that, you know, reboot's usually at like 3.
That is also true.
But theirs is triple.
And crit.
And crit.
Yours is double strike. It's only double strike, and they get the 2 cards.
Yours is effectively infinite.
Yeah, it's literally like just having extra mirrors in the deck, which I also play in my build.
Right.
Because for some reason, people don't expect it, even if you mill over it.
Right. And it's like, okay, in the mirror match, you're playing Mira, and you know they have like 3 Bibidis, and you're like, that's cool, bro. My Mira is already base like 180k. Plus I have 2 Bibidis, so good luck out comboing this.
Yeah, so
ban.
Like I started to get into sort of an argument with someone on a thread a few days ago. I tried to
we were arguing in chat.
That's also true. Part of it is like you have to learn the play patterns, and like if you're worried about them using Bibidis to not die, so defensively, which is I think what the guy in that comment thread was arguing about.
Yeah, that you can't over combo a Bibidi on offense.
Don't dump hand
if you know they're playing Bibidi. That's just stupid.
You need to attack wide, not tall.
Right,
because a Bibidi only stops one attack.
True. So there are a few cards in the game that can counter Bibidi, but I mean,
they're not super effective. Like I will admit that.
Like Jocko,
they put a Band-Aid over it, but then the Band-Aid gets ripped right back off.
Yeah, there's easy ways to get around those cards playing as Vegex.
Yeah, and like if you Jocko them when they're on offense, they're going to have that Bibidi now for defense.
Right, and their deck is...
they're probably not dying unless you go wide.
And their deck is what I like to call passive inevitability, which is they can't deck out for the most part, and they can just put their Bibidis back in the deck and use them again. So eventually you're going to have to pressure because you're going to get close to decking out, you know.
Yeah, so usually I will try to sandbag, a couple of Bibidis for the turn before I'm going to reshuffle, because that's when I have maximum value.
Yeah, like 35k Bibidi or something stupid like that.
Because going into my next turn, they're going to be like 4k.
Yeah, for like a turn,
a
2 turns.
Single card plus the static 3k it gets.
For like 2 more turns, and then they're big again.
So it's kind of like what I started out saying, is where you need to, like, people need to look at the deck mechanically and understand its turn sequencing and things like that, so you as the opponent understand what the potential of a Bibidi at every certain point could be. And so you kind of know what attacks to push harder on, maybe to force them to Bibidi or not.
That's fair. I just think that the fact that you can out combo 6 cards, say if I want to force your Bibidi, because you also have 4 other super combos, they're called Kais.
Yeah.
So if I don't combo enough, you can just like double Kai that you also got for free. Or if I combo a little too much, I'm wasting cards in hand to your 1 Bibidi, and then you just pay 2 the next turn, get it back. So with the Fu, which is also broken, and I think it's probably would be better to ban that card, even though it's a draft box card. Yeah, just because like Bibidi is cool and all, but you don't see it ran in like the other decks.
The only other deck it's played in is Black Boo, but that's because you don't want to have cards in hand, so a draw super combo is bad.
Right, and hand control is like, you can actually control their hand easier because their hand is only ever going to be like 5 cards.
So it's kind of weird having watched the Mac stream over the weekend that Marcus did. A lot of the Vegex players had really massive hands.
Yeah, they had like 13, 14 cards.
It's kind of weird because like sometimes when I play Vegex, I'll play with the play style of I want to have a really small hand size as much as possible. And there's other times where I'm playing the deck and I'm like, I want to have a really big hand and just try to play differently. Get like a different perspective on the deck and certain matchups. And I know that's something I talk about a lot. That was something that I learned and had hammered into me from playing like Modern and Legacy and stuff and Magic a lot, was play styles, matchups, things like that. Not just looking at what's on the table, but understanding both decks to a level that most people aren't going to look for.
Yeah, I just think that outside of Vegex, Bibidi is still broken because, like, if you put it on a graph, right? Let's just use Vegex as the example, or any like Mill 3 deck. Once you hit turn 3, Bibidi, becomes like a 12, 13, 14k combo in some decks based on how much you mill, obviously, which black naturally wants to do because they like to overwhelm and stuff. And at that point, it's better than every other super combo in the game, to the extent of the multicolored ones, which have their own niche uses, but at least they can be played around, and they're not as reusable like Bibidi is. I think the biggest thing is that Bibidi can be reused
with Fu
and with Vegex Leader if you just shuffle back.
Yeah.
And it does suck for the first 2 turns of shuffling back, but once you hit the third turn, you're fine because your Bibidis are now big again. And then they just get huge, and they're like 1 Bibidi equals 6 cards in my hand, effectively.
Yeah, so like raw power, as in like the number of power that it adds, yes, by far Bibidi best super combo. But utility wise, I don't think it is.
Right, but at what point does utility get outweighed by just raw power?
And it's a great point, and it's one that I was in our group chat trying to kind of address, and I know, was it Dahan that made a post earlier?
Yeah, he said that if Bibidi is going to get banned, they should ban all of the set 8 or 9.
Set 9, all the multicolor.
Yeah, because
I
that
call
way...
them utility super combos.
Let's just go back to set 1 super combos.
So my reasoning is, while all the other super combos don't add, potentially 30k to a battle, they do other things that can also affect a battle very heavily. Maybe outside of Jiro.
I mean, even he can, and eventually he'll be really, really good. You know how powerful Entomb is in Magic.
So Beerus.
Yeah.
Extremely powerful, not on it, the plus 10, but its effect.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is disagreeing at that point. I just think that if your opponent is dead, their Beerus doesn't matter. And so if you double strike them until they die, their Beerus is like, cool. Or like if you combo all in and they're at 2 life, and they're like, cool, 4 Beerus in hand, I'm good. And then you're like, wait, he's at 180k. My 4 Beerus untap all my lands, I combo the rest of my hand, and I'm still only at 80k.
Yeah.
So if they can fend off Vegex's attacks, yeah, those super combos are better. But if it comes down to just a raw punch fight, like Bibidi wins 10 out of 10. And I think the conclusion here is that Fu needs to be banned, because I don't know, it's just tough.
But at the same time, if they hit Fu, what utility does Black have?
I mean, you can still play Saiyan Instincts. Like every other color plays Saiyan Instincts practically. Or green plays Ribrianne, but that's basically the same thing.
I think...
And you have Boo.
If Fu is the card that gets hit, if anything does, I don't know if Black can hang at tier 1. Maybe 1.5. I don't think it can be, in the top 3, 4, even 5 decks, because Black needed that utility. Because all it does is mill Overrealm. That's about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do anything outside of that.
Yeah, so anyways, guys, we're going to wrap this up here. You heard me and Tim's comments. I think it should be banned, just like Storm. Tim thinks that we should not ban it, or also ban the rest of the set 9 super combos. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, definitely give us your guys' opinions. No hate on either side of it.
Oh, I'll be hating.
Healthy discussions all around. Again, I want to preface this, or I guess end my comments with the fact that I understand how powerful the card is. And as you know, Caleb, I have been exploiting that card and pushing it as far as I possibly can.
Tim likes playing degenerate decks, guys.
For a long time.
Anyways, that's the Sideboard Podcast we're going to check out. This is Caleb Williamson.
This is Tim. Have a good one, everyone.